Hello, everybody. We're going to dive into what this next new moon means in Capricorn on, well, midnight on the 13th. So you could say the 12th, 13th. It's 2 minutes after midnight, according to the source that I saw. And it falls at 23 degrees Capricorn. So it's coinciding with Pluto then. And if you've been following my videos and things over the years, you'll know that the moon and Pluto together are super potent. So a new moon with Pluto. I'm going to take a look at the chart as usual, and then I'm going to do the tarot cards for this particular new moon phase, which is, a few days before and a few days after. Because we have such intense circumstances going on politically, and because Pluto is connected to this new moon, it could have a longer impact before and after as well, or it could be just, new moons are new beginnings. The moon is dark. We go within, we plant the new seeds that we want to see grow. So when Pluto, as well as other things, but when that's emphasizing the seeds that we're planting, it seems that we're planting more powerful or transformative seeds now than perhaps with other new moons. So food for thought on that. So before I begin, I want to, of course, burn some sage as usual. We can all use a little bit of calm and cleansing, no matter what beliefs or side of the fence you're on with any of this. Everybody is stressed by the friction and polarity or division that we see around us, right? I think it's tiring for everyone. All right. I'm just going to cleanse the cards as well. If you have any sage around your house, maybe you can get some and smudge while we're doing this or after. And if you have any objects that you use, anything that's feeling that it needs a boost, feels heavy, any areas of your home that are cluttered or cold, take out your sage, help lighten the energy. All right, so first of all, going to go to the chart. All right. So the chart's quite lopsided when I first look at it here, meaning that all the planets are clustered down there at the bottom. There's a cluster of 6 planets that are pretty close together, all end of Capricorn, beginning of Aquarius. And then there's pretty harsh opposition from Uranus and Mars, which are conjunct. This is the worrying aspect, to be honest with you. There's the Uranus and Mars conjunct. So I've cast the chart for, as usual, I cast the chart for New York City just because it's in my time zone and it's one of the major cities that we align with in North America. So the rising sign or the house positions of where things are will change it'll change how this plays out if you're in a different time zone slightly. But if you're in the Eastern time zone, and, Washington, D.C. is also in the Eastern time zone, so we can say, that the house positions and patterns I'm about to describe make sense also for Washington, and therefore maybe some insight. So I have to tell you, the chart looks difficult, Let's start with this Uranus and Mars combo. So Mars was retrograde quite a bit last year in Aries, which was not fun, right? Mars in Aries wants to be spontaneous and active and free. Mars in Aries is a person who says, hey, let's just grab the car and drive. Let's go to the beach today. Okay, sure. And you go and you don't think about it and you don't plan and you don't say, well, but I wonder if, or, oh, first we need to check. They just go and get in the car. They grab the keys and go. So when it was retrograde, it pushes this spontaneity or this bold, courageous, fun-loving side of Aries inwards. And of course, this all corresponds with the quarantines and the pandemic. And you have a lot of frustration with retrograde Mars. This whole year, Mars is going to be direct. Now, that's a hopeful thing because it means that it's a year where there's going to be more forward motion. There's not going to be so many stop and start, less frustration. It's a different kind of energy, but at least it's not that inward churning, I want to, but I can't kind of feeling. So then Mars went direct in December and in the Aries, and then it's now gone into Taurus. And pretty much Mars was in Taurus, or began its journey in Taurus on the same day as the insurrection at the Capitol. And they were still a few degrees apart. Now these degrees are getting closer as we get to the inauguration day. It's, I'm sorry that it's nasty to say, but it's my gut feeling, but it's also astrology. Mars and Uranus will be exactly conjunct on the 18th to the 20th. So we do have to be careful on the inauguration. And we're already seeing people announcing that they're going to try to mount another coup. So, wherever you're listening to this, please stay safe and stay home, because the random explosive quality of Uranus and Mars, it's like it's like a bomb going off. Uranus in Taurus is sticking around for several years more. So we have to get used to this, and it's waking and shaking all of the security-based, financial-based, our work lives, anything that our finances and the structure of our day-to-day cycles, in a profound way, it's shaking that up. Uranus is like little earthquakes. Mars comes along like an explosion on top of the earthquake. Now, sometimes that energy can be used for good if it's directed properly. Then, it could be. It's just so powerful. But how often, do people use energy like that with that much power for progress versus destruction? That's the thing. So we have to be careful. Now, this Mars and Uranus and Taurus is also falling in house number 7. This is not nice. This is the house of partnerships and marriages and open enemies. If this were an individual versus a general reading and I saw this, I would know that this person is going to have a lot of drama and friction and anger and unstable relationships, that it would be very hard for a person, if this was their personal chart, it would be very hard with Uranus and Mars in their 7th house to be married or stay married. There could be violence in that marriage. Or there would be constant fighting. It would have an abusive quality. So right now, you really want to watch your own personal partnerships and relationships. It's not a time of stirring the pot with anybody because of the explosiveness of those two planets together in a relationship house, a partnership house. So in our own lives, this might play out that way. with close relationships, there could be an argument or a fight. There could be an upheaval. If it comes to, partnerships can also extend to close business partnerships. And those also, you'd want to be just cautious. When it comes to like the political stage, because those planets are so volatile and they're also squaring the sun, the moon, and Pluto. This is the recipe for mutiny on the bounty. So I would say that we will likely see the impeachment or removal. And if there isn't a full impeachment or removal, we're going to see backlash and divisions and casualties of some sort. So let's talk about the sun, moon, and Pluto all in Capricorn, 23 degrees, 24 degrees for Pluto. So it's a degree away. Now, again, if I saw this as a person's chart, not a general thing, and I saw that they had the sun, the moon, and Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter, and Mercury all in the 4th house, everything about this person's life is about their home and their family. Everything that plays out for them has a direct impact on their home life, because it's in house number 4. House number 4 is like the roots of your life, the basis for your family and your living space and your sense of your history, your ancestors. Now, Pluto in the 4th house is a time when there's upheaval on the home front and where all the dirt and all the secrets come out. So that's one aspect of this Uranus-Mars square. Uranus-Mars squaring Sun, Moon, Pluto. We might see some things revealed, people, okay? Some of the secrets and the dirt that is about to come out when people are this angry. Who knows what they're going to catch some of these people for? Now, in your own life, could there be some unearthing of secrets? Could there be some trauma that suddenly comes up? Could it come up vis-a-vis somebody bringing it up? Confronting people on things? Could it be internally? Suddenly you're having dreams or memories? Possible. Could there be drama at your house? In your own home? Yes. Pluto in the 4th house can also be sometimes renovations. Pluto is going to sometimes, I don't know, the roof can leak, the pipes can burst, the foundation can crack, sometimes, the neighbors can be difficult or power tripping or up to shady things. Pluto just brings all of the shadowy power dynamics, addicted, it's got to break down. It's got to break down before it's liberated, kind of feeling. And the sun and the new moon also in the 4th. Well, you might be feeling like you want to make a fresh start when it comes to your living space. And let's face it, we're all quarantined. In North America, a lot of us are, and here in Quebec, we're even, we even have a curfew in place now that's very strict. So this feeling of everything revolving around your actual dwelling and your home circumstances makes perfect sense while we're all cooped up. So there's a bunch of things going on. The sun and the new moon in Capricorn is very ambitious. It's thinking long term, and it wants to have the best of things, and it wants to upgrade. Pluto could be wonderful if you're in a situation where you are making transformations to your home. It's a good time to maybe be doing that. If you're adding an extra room, or if you're knocking out a wall, or if you're just changing the colors around or getting rid of something that you don't need anymore, that's been bogging you down, extra furniture or, clutter, stuff like that. It doesn't always have to mean huge renos, but Pluto will transform your home. And that's one, on the good side, if it doesn't show up in the negative aspect of things that challenge your home by them breaking down or invading your space, and there's none of that around, then it could be the positive of Pluto, where it's just time to, maybe it's good time to rearrange the furniture. Maybe it's a good time to add new color somewhere to the wall. Renew, make things new, make things feel different and new, and upgrade. Upgrade to something that makes you feel, so it's Capricorn, something that makes you feel that it's more sophisticated, whatever that means to you, more classy, whatever that means to you. It can also mean spending some money on it. Yeah. Now, then we also have these other air planets going on. So Saturn and Jupiter, which have moved into Aquarius, which is positive. This new 20-year cycle that we're beginning, because Saturn and Jupiter is a 20-year cycle. So you've just ended a 20-year chapter. So think about where you were 20 years ago. Think about what patterns you've been dealing with, what things keep coming up over and over again. What insights can you gather from that? Because 20 years, it's a long chapter, man. And I'm thinking of, the things that have been going on for 20 years in my life. I mean, you never expect that they would go on that long, but some cycles really take a long time to play out from whatever lesson. And so that's a hopeful thing also in the home and family life. So, with Saturn and Jupiter there, maybe there's a new chapter that you're starting in terms of how you want to live, with who you want to live, how you want to relate to each other. And with Saturn, Jupiter, and Mercury all in Aquarius, it's going to be a time, again, the shadow side could be a time of a lot of tension and stubbornness and intolerance and unwillingness to listen or deal with how they feel. On the good side, and this is where Pluto and Uranus, Mars and Uranus, it's kicking all those planets together. It could be provoking people to break out of these armors and old guard and old shells and old ways of thinking. And maybe they're, like I said, they're going to dish some stories or secrets you never knew were going on in your lives. But Saturn, Jupiter, Mercury in Aquarius is talking about going into a more tolerant, more open-minded, more inclusive, more, maybe we all have that one weird sister or that one weird aunt or that, that person who's eccentric that we don't understand why they act the way they do or their habits. Or maybe you're dealing with different people within your family that, there's divisions and splits within your family life or your household on, do they think the virus is real or not? Or do they, are they politically oriented one way or another? Are they racist or ignorant about something? Are they open-minded? All kinds of manner of, like, it's all about your ideologies and your thoughts, your belief systems, and it's all playing out in your home life and your family life. And if you're living alone, this can be talking about how your immediate, family of origin gets along. It could be talking about things that are coming up for you to process, old stuff from the past. It might not be actively, arguing with people. It could just be you're remembering or unearthing, remembering memories of how you got along or the beliefs, how you were formed as a child. And some people, if you're living alone, this could be playing out with neighbors' issues, because it's all around your dwelling and your home and your roots. So that being said, that's an enormous challenge, right, that we're going to be facing with this new moon. Now, we also have, as I mentioned before in other videos, the North Node and South Node are still in place, same degrees, They're still squaring Neptune. That's like a more sort of subtle background noise, because these other things are just sort of like, and then in the background you have this square going on of these mutable planets, where it's like everybody's sort of in the background psychically going, huh? What's going on here? What? How am I supposed to orient my head? Huh? You know, all this mutable energy that doesn't know quite what to do or where to position itself, everything changing. It's a confusing time. And so the more obvious thing to focus on is the polarity, these clear, frictions and divisions. It's much easier to focus on black and white and give all your energy to that than to feel the grayness, and the up in the air and the adaptable but not clear. That's more anxiety provoking for most people. So that's what's going on in the background, is that there's just all of this sort of shift. You do that step, I'll do, and then, oh, now you're going this way, so I'll go, oh, okay, now it's fine, but 5 minutes later you feel strange. An hour later your mood is good again and you have hope. It's just constant weird moods shifting and changing, and hard to know for everybody what to focus on. So the last thing I'll mention that's good in this chart is that Venus is making a nice angle to this Uranus and Mars. Venus is in Capricorn. Again, Venus in Capricorn is ambitious and wants to get ahead and wants the best in life. She's in house number 3, though, of communications. So Venus in your 3rd house of communication and short travels and distance, sometimes siblings. This is sort of nice, it's going to give everybody a little more, I think you might see like more desire to have serious, practical conversations. And that's helpful that it's making a good aspect to that Uranus-Mars, because some portion of, this rebellion energy will be used, for good, or will be translated into something productive because of the Earth planets, So we try to go into the Aquarian vibe and the Aquarian age by being a little more detached and live and let live. Do you do your thing, be okay with them doing theirs. I have my beliefs, you have yours. It's okay. There's no inequality. It's just different. Just learning to live in a more patient and detached and a little more grounded, a little more serious kind of way. So the advice that I would have for this new moon based on this chart would be, really take a look at your home life. Really take a look at your closest allies and relationships, and spice up your home. Think about how you can reinvent your living space so you feel better. Think about how you can renegotiate space with the people you live with or around. See if there's ways that you can give a bit of space to everybody and maybe come up with a different solution if there's friction. And watch your tempers and watch your reactivity. And as I said, Mars and Uranus are going to get closer as we come up to the inauguration. And so this tension I'm speaking about is going to be escalating up until the inauguration. So we want to just really remember that with whatever you choose to do. All right, let's go to the cards now and see what it gives us. All right. All right, so our first card for this new moon is the Five of Wands, which, as you can see, is strife. So I find this interesting, though. You've got one major wand that looks like an iron rod, and it's coming down, and it's crisscrossing the rest. It's dominating the others. And you also have these wings at the top with sort of snakes below, and then you've got wings at the bottom. This is Saturn, and this is Leo. Saturn in Leo is someone that's here to learn about their ego. They're here to learn leadership. This is pretty apropos, isn't it? So hard to say who this will play out as, but this is usually a conflict or a breakup. And there's one sort of, wand that is the iron rod that comes down and quashes the rest and silences them. And either they lead by Saturn, Saturn and Leo can lead by, being that dictator with their own ego, or they can lead by being like a noble, generous king. So we'll have to see the quality of who leads. But this card would say the iron rod is coming down. Something is clamped and something is removed. This applies to all of us, but, to me, it's applying very directly to politics. All right, our next card is the Ace of Wands. So after the 5, you get the Ace. This is great because you start to feel like something is clear. Clarity. Woo! A fire is lit. The will is back. Nothing's in the way. This is feeling sort of victorious. Look at how crazy those flames are going. This Ace of Wands can do anything it wants with that level of fire. So if this is in your personal life and there's things or anything that you feel you need to release yourself from or cut or distance in order to get that fire, it's going to be worth it. Now, the next card is our Queen of Discs. For me, she's always, sort of an entitled woman. She's sitting there very comfortable, very wealthy, staring off at her land, won't look at us, holding her wealth and her giant ball of, seems like money or something, or the status of her possessions. She's, protected by these giant horns. She's, which do show also a lot of wisdom, but a lot of status, materialism. And she's surrounded by the leaves. So she's nice and protected. And then she gets her little ram to confront us, almost like you're walking up to a giant company and asking to speak to somebody. And the secretary says, "And who are you?" That's pretty much what this is. So if this is your own life, well, you think about who this might match. Is there somebody who you feel is turning the other way? Somebody that you feel won't answer you, won't look at you? Somebody who's sending other people as their, go to their mediator, their minion? And we'll take a look what comes next. Next card is the Nine of Cups, which is very nice. This is very abundant, celebratory. It almost looks like a big fountain or a wedding cake or something. The colors are nice. They're soothing. There's a lot of light. There's a lot of crisscrossing and intermingling. Every flower, every lotus, every cup is full and crisscrossing with others. So this is a joyous, card even says happiness. So this is like, something of a victory for self-expression and for bonding with others and breaking through and connecting with, breaking isolation and connecting with groups. If this is related more to the astrological side, maybe you have breakthroughs and closeness with your family or with your close neighbors in and around the home. Huh. Wow. Eight of Wands I didn't expect to see, because it's a card of traveling and moving and being free. Well, we're not there right now. Not officially with lockdowns, but we might be daydreaming of it. This card also, if you can't travel with it, because often when I pull this card, people are going on trips of some sort, flights, sometimes, long road trips, and obviously some people are still doing that or able to do that, but for the most of us, we're not. So you might be daydreaming or planning a trip, plan it for after, plan it to look forward to when we can. And if not, this card certainly means getting active. Get outside and walk, get outside and ski, skate, run, whatever it is you do, get outside. This is like definitely telling you to get active and release the emotional buildup, of this stressful time. Release it with physical exercise. All right, our next card is the Two of Wands. So as you can pretty clearly see, that's a friction or a fight. This is two people. This is Mars and Aries. Two people standing off. Two people who are right, no matter what. You just look at these wands and they're crisscrossing and they're throbbing. They look like they're about to burst. So it's still, weird cards, weird times. Look at already just the high and low in 6 cards. I'll try to sum it up when we get to the 9. Okay, 7 of Wands, 7 of Swords. This is a card of just moving on, walking away, dropping your swords and saying, screw it, I'm done. So it's interesting because we have friction and we have strong will to act. We have like people wanting to bust out and feel free and not restricted, and are so tired of whatever restrictions they're living with, even if it's self-imposed, even if it's just everybody wants to bust out and live something else. And so that does cause friction because, your desires and will might not be on the same page as your kids or your partner or the guy that lives next door because you decided you want to build something and he doesn't like it, or whatever's going on. There's a friction. There could be a buildup or a fight. This card often represents a move, sometimes physically moving to another home, another place. But, if you're not in that position to do that, sometimes this card just means you just get to a point where you're like, this is pointless. You just lay down your sword. You stop arguing. You stop trying to change anyone's mind. You stop trying to get them to understand. You stop talking. You let it go and you walk away from the drama. It's completely detached. The next card is the Witch, or the Art, Temperance. So this is interesting because we come back to this sort of alchemy and brewing something up and mixing the right ingredients to get the right thing that you want. This is usually a card of timing, and things need to be mixed in the right way, done in the right order to get the results you want. So if there's things that you want to do, if you're walking away or letting go of something that you don't want to do anymore or don't want to carry or don't want to relate with, and there is a lot of strong will in this reading. There's a lot of fire. There's a lot of ideas and creativity. There's a lot of physical energy to change your life. That's for sure. So at least we have that. It's not like depressing, nebulous kind of vibe. It's more like, I want to do something. Get me out of here. I've got to do something. I want to do something now. And then it's met with some friction at the door. But at least you've got the will. Now the witch or the alchemist comes in. Well, it's about the timing. You have to add a little of this and a little of that. But start to mix things and see what happens. Start manifesting what you want to do next. Start putting in the time to research something. Take one step. Start to make it happen. It's not going to be an off-on switch where it just happens all at once or it just lands on your lap. This is like, you're creating the recipe. So I find this a hopeful card with the rest of them because there's a lot of drive, and this is like the delicacy of, okay, I'm going to research, I'm going to make this happen, I'm going to talk to these people, I'm going to buy that one thing that I'm going to need down the road, I'm going to just accumulate stuff until it works out, I'm going to, that kind of thing. And our last card, is the Tower. Oh. All right, well, the Tower is Mars. Mars is right at the bottom of the card, and the Tower is very Pluto-like too. The Tower is that there's something that's long overdue that needs to change, and you already know what it is. Once it arrives, you'll be like feeling, oh no, like maybe hit with it or victimized by it, or like, why is this happening now, or why to me? But if you really examine the Tower card, you had signs, you had many signs, and you ignored them, and now it's coming up to say, do it, hurry up, do it, stop avoiding it. Now it's forcing you. So the Tower is always like unpleasant, but it's a long overdue change. And once you sort of allow something to fall apart that isn't working, then you're liberated. That's the end result of the Tower, is that you're liberated from something that's just become so outgrown or so heavy on you. So it's possible along the way, I'm not going to leave us off on the Tower card. I'm going to pull one more. But it's possible that on the way to, it's like there's this force inside that wants to birth something different and new so badly in a lot of us. And maybe even globally, we really want something new than what we've been living. And so, yeah, it's scary as it breaks apart or falls apart, or it's challenged in order so to fall apart. But the Tower card really does show that whatever it is, it's like it's been so heavy on us for so long that when it does actually break down, we will feel liberated and free. And our last card, overall advice, let's just say. Two of Discs, another Capricorn card. Jupiter in Capricorn. This would just be saying the card means change. You have a snake, which means change and transformation, shedding your skin. You have the snake biting its own tail and creating an infinity symbol. And then within that, you have the light and the dark, the yin and the yang. So this is the ultimate card of accepting that everything always changes, and it always will. So there's no good or bad. There's no something's wrong or not. Change will always happen. And when we accept that change will always happen, then instead of feeling so victimized by the changes or the things that crop up, we get a little more detached and say, oh, okay, well, I wish things could have stayed the way they were, or I wish it could have been longer or whatever, but I accept that life changes and now there's another chapter and it's time for me to change again and adapt. And the more we become fluid like that snake and adapt sooner and stop railing and resisting the changes that nature brings us, usually we have a more smooth, flexible life, and we have less crisis, less extremes, and we tend to be more fluid and adaptable with other people too. I think that's good advice to leave it on. Now, let's do the readings for each sign. So how can we phrase these readings today? Trying to think. That's a good way to phrase this question for the new moon. Well, I'm going to ask more directly how each sign is going to handle this Mars-Uranus energy. So, where in your life are you feeling the most restless or rebellious? That's what I'm going to put that's what this reading is going to be about. Where in your life are you feeling the most restless and rebellious? So I'm just writing down my signs so I can write down exactly the second that I'm doing them for you. All right. Woo. All right, we're going to shuffling. So we all have this restlessness and desire to break free that's causing us great momentum or great frustration or both. So how can you maximize? Where is that restlessness coming from? How can you maximize it or deal with it? All right, so Aries, you have the Emperor. All right, well, to me right away, this says that you're frustrated with authority. You're restless and impatient about anybody who's authoritarian or controlling. This might mean bosses. This might mean, the way the government controls things. This might mean dealing with any issues with your father or father figure. So, this astrologically, the Uranus Mars is falling in your second house, which is actually more about money. So if we sort of combine that, could you be frustrated about authority figures and money right now? Could you be feeling, angry about the way the government or your boss or your maybe your dad spends money or doesn't spend money? Are you feeling like you can't quite get ahead or you're not being given the authority or taken as seriously as you would like to? And that includes how that impacts your salary. So Uranus and Mars in my second house, if I had that, I would be expecting a lot of ups and downs in my money. I would be expecting, and that influence, by the way, Mars is in Taurus, and, sort of making aspects with Uranus up until early March. So you have like another 6-7 weeks where I would say to be a little more careful and cautious with your money because it can be an impulsive kind of vibe. But the revolution that you need for your own growth is to do with authority figures. And this is sort of about you being your own authority figure versus letting other people control you. That's a pretty chunky one right there, isn't it? All right, Taurus. So Taurus, these planets are hitting you directly. So this isn't an easy time at all because Taurus hates this Uranus kind of influence, hates it. Uranus and Taurus is in it's either its detriment or its fall. It's one of its worst placements. That's how much Taurus hates it. So what it means is you wish things could be calm and secure and predictable, but they're not. You feel like you can't quite get your comfort zone. You can't quite get your footing. Things that you counted on or looked, for a long time, you can't. It's a great time to make a lot of changes and plans for change, but it's not the time where it's going to be securing that change. And it all depends on when you're born. Right now, this aspect is going to happen at 6 degrees. So we're talking people born Taurus in April that have been the most affected so far and still affected, not the May. And your card is the Hierophant. So the revolution actually is interesting. It would sort of be more about you. Where are you the most restless and rebellious? It's interesting because this is a card of introspection and spirituality, of researching, studying, reading. It's funny, this might actually be a time when you really, really start to change your philosophy of life in a profound way. And it might be the accompanying meditation, finding the right teachers, the right authors to read, people to look up to. You could be doing quite a bit of exposing yourself to many things as you're really grappling with, how do I feel the world works? Because you're feeling the foundation, the floor sort of shaking under you sometimes. So the best way to use that energy then is to do exactly that. The Hierophant goes within to self-study and self-actualize. So that's a very nice, I like that answer. That's nice. All right, Gemini. That's funny. I pulled 2 cards. Gemini's duality, and I pulled 2 cards. I'm going to pull them both then for you. Okay, so your 2 cards, those 2 sides of you, and it's interesting. These are water cards. This is the Princess and the Queen of Cups. Huh. So funny. Okay. So Mars and Uranus for Gemini is hitting your 12th house. Eek, not so easy. Okay. The inner rebelliousness, the inner revolution, the wake and shake to your sense of, structure and security is happening in the psychic or subconscious realm. This could mean that you're dreaming a lot. You might feel very restless. You might be insomniac too. You might be having a rough time with your sleep. You might be remembering again, Uranus, it's like old memories or old past life connections bursting forward all of a sudden, because it's like the psyche itself, the subconscious, there's little explosions going off in the subconscious, and that can release all kinds of stuff to us. Mainly, like I said, a sense of being restless, a lot of dreaming, or insomnia, and a lot of memories. Now, by the cards, though, it's interesting, like, where is this sort of revolution happening the most? And it's funny because these are 2 women, one is more mature and experienced than the other, but they're both water signs. The blue is very calm, it's dreamy, they're connected to the water, to the emotions, to the animals. They almost look very sleepy and comfortable. So to me, it would sort of say, you need the revolution for you would be, how do you be more gentle with yourself, and how do you connect to your emotions and connect on an emotional level with, maybe these are people that are close to you, that are around you, that are close to you. And if not, then you need people who are like this around you, because these are the most nurturing, compassionate, accepting people. You need this level of gentleness while you're going through this sort of unconscious, subconscious, psychic upheaval that's happening through the 12th house. And like I said, Uranus is there for several years. So this is a long-term influence. Very interesting. All right, Cancer. Okay. Ah, wow, look at that. So Cancer, where is your revolution happening? Right away, this is obvious to me. The Hangman is feeling stuck and feels like they're sacrificing for everybody all the time. Yeah, it means, waiting. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting? Do you feel like you're nailed to the cross like this guy? If you're waiting to do something or to say something or to make or become something you've been wanting to, what is it that's keeping you in suspension and waiting? Now, I'm not going to go saying to every Cancer, well, go do it, hurry up, kick your ass. Because the Hangman is waiting for a spiritual reason. Not like, where's my spiritual reason? No, he's in suspension for a spiritual purpose. There's a lesson, a very deep lesson and a very deep transformation in the sacrifice. However, we're not supposed to sacrifice ourselves to others or anybody in vain just because they want us to, or because we want to please them, or whatever's going on. No, the Hangman has chosen to deny, let's say, certain needs, because if you look at at his foot where he hangs, there's an ankh, and there's the ankh and the snake, and then the light is above on the horizon. So he knows that if he changes himself and he puts himself through certain spiritual sacrifices, that he will reach a higher level of enlightenment or a higher state of being. So the revolution for you then, Cancer, is going to be, are you choosing to sacrifice anything out of pleasing others, or are you doing it for your spiritual purposes of growth, if there's something that you're waiting on? Because Cancer, we tend to want to just be, cozy in our shell and sometimes avoid the pain of growth or the conflicts that come with growth. So you can be sacrificing yourself in a bad way just for security or for other people's needs, or are you doing it consciously for your spiritual growth, if there's something like sacrificial feeling or waiting feeling? As far as the astrology, Uranus and Mars are in your 11th house, which is groups and communities and belonging to groups. So again, the Hangman and feeling like, belonging to groups. So are you doing anything just to please the crowd or to fit in? Are you feeling left out like you did as a kid on the schoolyard? Are you sacrificing yourself just to belong to something that maybe doesn't feel right? Or the higher way of this would be, are you willingly subverting your own needs or ego to serve something higher in a group that you belong to? It's very different. So no more sacrificial lamb act for you, Cancer. Woo. All right. Leo. So Leo, look at that, King of Cups. So astrologically, that Mars and Uranus is in your 10th house, which is all about your career and your ability to stand out in the world, because that's the house of the public eye. And sometimes it talks about your family, your parents as well, your mom or your dad, could be either one. But there's a revolution going on in your career and how you will shine out to the world, the position you hold, and how you act and how you're seen by others in the public eye and how you feel about all that. But by the card, like, where is your inner revolution? Well, it seems to be about love. Yeah, because the King of Cups, you know, he's looking, his horse is looking at us, his beautiful white horse, his wings are wide open. He's just sailing off on love, with his cup held high and the crab glowing out of his cup. This guy's in love. This guy doesn't have a doubt in his mind. So if you don't have that, that's probably what the revolution for you is about, is figuring, like, looking at yourself and looking at your life and with more scrutiny as to, am I in love? Do I want to be in love? How can I? And I'm not talking about childish, like, honeymoon phase in love. I'm not talking about the beginning stages. I'm talking about sustaining a true love, or finding a true love. That seems to be very important to you right now. Maybe it always is, but I would say really take a look at what is it that you are missing in your love life, and take a harder look at why. And again, like, if you're in a relationship that you don't feel that way, you have to really take a look at why you're there. And if you don't have it and you're alone, it's just time to get more honest with yourself if that's what you really want, and to start doing more about it, or getting much clearer on who you'd like to bring into your life. How do you see that relationship playing out? And it can't be just like, well, I'm just gonna, hopefully meet the right person, and they want to look like this. And no, it's more in detail. You need to manifest the kind of love you want. If you want the kind of love where your partner makes you a cup of tea because they know you had a hard day, even though you didn't ask them. You want thoughtfulness. You define what it is, but ask yourself, really, am I really in love, and how can I bring that more in my life? All right, Virgo. Well, Virgo, you got the Tower. So we just described the Tower pretty well. Your astrology for Uranus Mars is in your 9th house, which is all about higher learning and anything foreign, anything that's normally ruled by Sagittarius. So it's interesting then, because the Tower would be breaking down probably old beliefs and really scrutinizing how some of your old thinking, or maybe even a spiritual or religious crisis, or something in your belief system, or the way you look at the world, or what you knew about the world, is collapsing. But again, remember, the Tower liberates you too, but at first something collapses. This could be, you learn something about the true way the world works, and mentally and spiritually there's like an inner collapse of the Tower. And you're going to rebuild that worldview and how you act and react in the world based on a shift in how you see it. That's pretty profound stuff. Also, sometimes the 9th house can also be like higher learning and stuff. So if any of you were going through this with your education, this is another possible collapse. Let's say maybe you realize what I'm studying is not leading me anywhere. Or maybe you feel that certain teachers have let you down and they're not who they said they were. But I'm getting the feeling like there's a disillusionment with how you thought somebody or some philosophy or your religion or the way the world works, the way anything works, something that you took as steady, and you're like, no, this isn't it. It can also be Again, how things are going to play out politically and how people react could change the way you view humanity too, because Sagittarius is another sign that's thinking about the globe and global humanity. Something could sort of wake and shake your beliefs about how the world works on that level too. But like I said, the tower does liberate you. Whatever it is that collapses these old ideas, it's upsetting at first, but it's going to make you feel much more free once you allow it to happen. Okay, Libra. Libra, here we go. I need a drink. All right. Libra is interesting combo. Okay. The High Priestess and Uranus Mars is going to fall in your 8th house, which is all about going deeper. It's the house of sex, death, and other people's money. It's where you plummet to the depths of Scorpio. It's the area that will bring up all kinds of mysteries. Anything sort of occult is also ruled in the 8th house. And the Priestess is all about understanding this divine order in the world, and that we can tap into energy and we can tap into our intuition, our psychic abilities. We can trust our visions and our dreams. We can find ways to bring things to us that are very subtle and yet very powerful, and that mysterious and hard to pinpoint. So I would say for you, it's a spiritual time of growth in a very feminine or inner kind of way, where you're going to be subtly shifting and noticing and reading and gathering information, and maneuvering energy in a much more mysterious and yet enlightened kind of way. So definitely Mars and Uranus are going to break apart some of any old fixed ideas about the way the universe works on a divine and energetic level. Yeah, I think that's sort of an exciting message for Libra. I feel like there's a lot of growth about to come for you. But the overall message, where is your inner revolution happening? What do you do? This is all about right now, regardless of what any expert or any friend or any family member, what anybody says, you trust your intuition above and beyond anybody else. The inner priestess. Oh, yes, your inner priestess knows. You have to get deep enough in yourself to that place where you're like, I know that that's true. I don't need to validate it or tell people or have them agree. All right. Wow. Powerful message for Libras. All right, Scorpio. All right, time to get your workaholic on there. Well, Uranus and Mars are going to be in your 7th house, which is similar to what we said at the original reading of the chart for now with this new moon. Uranus and Mars in your 7th. Remember what I said at the beginning of the video? I would expect a lot of upheaval and up and down in partnerships and love life. You got to watch for that right now with Uranus going through and Mars going through your 7th house. And especially like if this is a work card, this card here is Capricorn, Mars and Capricorn. It's extremely industrious and it bears down and it just does the work and it gets it done. And it's like a steamship and nothing's stopping you. So it makes me wonder, in combination with the astrology, is work interfering or getting in the way of your relationships in any way? Is your partner or your kids upset because you're always working? Are you upset that your partner's always working? There's something to do with somebody whose ambitious drive is on acid here. And how is that impacting the intimate relationship that you have? The other thing it could be is if this is business partnerships, again, check that you're not being overbearing or a tyrant with anybody if you're working together, or that nobody's doing that with you. Because like we said, Uranus and Mars in the 7th house can be like mutiny on the bounty. You know, somebody's got to dominate, somebody's got to win. Everybody's working hard and wants to get ahead, or one person sure does. So there's potential friction in that area. But your inner revolution, let's say, where you're the most restless, I would say, is your desire to accomplish, your desire to really push things to the next level, and you're willing to work for it. Are you being a workaholic? Are you doing it to the detriment of other things? We have to ask ourselves, are we being a bit greedy? Are we not being patient enough towards things happening at a different pace than we'd like? So I would just ask yourself that range of question with this new moon. All right, Sag. Okay, well, it's sort of a saggy card. So Prince of Wands. For you, Uranus and Mars is falling in the 6th house, which is health and also service. Sometimes extended family like cousins, aunts, uncles. Sometimes our pets, neighbors fall under the 6th. You know, this could be you. This is like a very confident showman almost, you know. He's so confident he doesn't really have to put much into guiding this lion. The lion is just rolling him quickly wherever he wants to go, and he's leaving this flames, you know, all around him. It's very dynamic, you know. He's very swarthy. He's boldly going where he wants to go. Doesn't think it cannot work. He's so sure it will. So if this is you, if this is someone else, but he's around you, or that energy's around you, when it comes to your astrology with your health, I mean, you know, is this you being taking unnecessary risks, being overly confident? Is this you being a know-it-all about your health or about an issue with your doctor? Is this maybe your doctor is being like this with you, or some other practitioner? The main point is I'm trying to say is, as great and as fun as this guy can be, sometimes he's arrogant and he's overconfident. So I'd want to double check his facts. And if it comes up in terms of service as the theme, where is your inner rebellion happening? You're going to have this pressure to be of service. Like the 6th house is sort of like the social worker in the zodiac, you know. They don't get the accolades. They're the nurses, they're the teachers, they're the essential workers. They're the people that we need desperately, who feel invisible a lot of the time. And this guy is like, he's just got to be recognized, right? He's like, come on, because here I am, come on. Like, I'm just so great. So I would say your struggle then is in areas where you feel you are of service to others. And you don't have to be a nurse for that. You could be, you know, the homemaker, and where's your thanks for vacuuming? You know, but there's something where you've got to deal with, where's the Where is the proper, appreciation of what you've done versus is it tipping into your ego, wanting more recognition for something that could be given out of service? That doesn't, where that shouldn't be an issue of wanting praise or recognition for it. But there's a very fine line in there, isn't there? If it is a homemaker situation, let's say, and you cooked an amazing meal and the entire house is clean and you worked hard at it for everybody, and everyone comes home, eats, doesn't ask you how your day was, doesn't even look you in the eye, and takes it all for granted and then goes to bed. That's not service. That's more like servitude, unless that's like an exceptional day. But there's nothing wrong with asking that people, but no one's going to give you flowers or a hero cookie for every time you do that either, or if you're complaining that you're better than that, or you deserve more, or you're worth more than just doing dishes for people or whatever. Maybe your ego is getting triggered. Ideally, you are giving to others and you are being acknowledged and thanked. That would balance out the service and the ego. That's quite a chunky message. All right, Capricorn. That was a long message too. Wow. All right. Very nice. Capricorn, Ace of Swords. So Uranus, Mars is playing out in your 5th house of love, children, creativity, self-expression. And you've got the Ace of Swords. You definitely need to do something creative. You definitely need, this is like a clear idea, a clear singular idea. If Uranus and Mars were going through my 5th house, I would be expecting that I would be very restless and probably want to take on, 20 things at once, that I stop and start. And then I change my mind and I want to do another one just as intensely. And then I don't finish. And then, I might add so much chaos to my life by not having clarity of what I really, really want. Ace of Swords. One really satisfying, clear project. Just choose and follow through on one and make it big, because look how big this sword is and how big it shines. So it would be a good idea, if you're feeling any of that restlessness that I'm talking about with creativity and projects and stuff, to dig a little deeper. How does some of the many ideas you have, what do they have in common? How could they be made into a bigger, more singular focus or idea or goal? Then you're going to start to feel all of the Uranus, Mars, just like full steam ahead. Nobody can stop you, and you will get something big done. But that big thing has to be something you really, really want with a larger purpose. That's interesting. Also, for those of you who do have kids, if it's this, that was about people without kids in their creative life, or even mothers with, or fathers with kids, your creative life is very important. Your projects are very important as well. If it's applying to your kids, Uranus and Mars in your 5th house, your kids might be very restless and unpredictable as well. They might really have a hard time with routines, hard time sitting still. They might have that's sort of a sign of a lot of temper tantrums, or a very strong-willed kid or kids. You cannot dominate that kid if Mars and Uranus are in your 5th. There's just no way that you're going to get them to go to bed on time, or that kid has their own ideas and their own schedule. And if that energy's around, because that's, like I said, it's several years that influence of Uranus in that house. So you're talking about a few years where it's not just a phase, this desire for you to do your creative life and whatever's going on with your kids, independence, eccentricities, willfulness, it's not going away. this is who they are, or this is what you're dealing with for a while. So there's going to be, again, you need to detach, and you need to have some, this is again, clarity of mind. The kids need something clear from you that is like that stable sword, because they're going to be bouncing everywhere, and they need to come back to you as that central clear point, you know? So it is a little bit of a tough time. That inner revolution for you will be all about picking something, because there's no perfect answer. You have to take a look at it and then pick it and do it and stick to it. And I think there'll be a lot of stuff around boundaries, because this is a lot, there's a lot of things to manage, and you deserve time to do things that are self-expressive. The Ace of Swords in your self-expression, like, if you don't, you're going to implode. Okay, so you need to find a way to do something of a project or self-expression for yourself. Whether you're a writer, whether you want to paint, whether it's a garden that you're putting in, I don't care, but you need to do it. Okay. All right, Aquarius. All right. Success. Nice. 6 of discs. So astrologically, you've got Uranus, Mars in a tough spot in the 4th. And like I said, it's a few years Uranus is hanging around. So you're about to go through all of those upheavals that I mentioned in the reading before, about family, about old memories coming up, old secrets coming out, all the dirt that was hidden comes out, renovations, relocation, roofs, foundations, plumbing, crazy neighbors, you name it. Uranus is going to bring like a lot of change, and most likely restlessness, and you might move more than once. You might renovate more than once. You might have, if you're not moving or renovating, then people's next door to you, above and below you are. Like, there's just a lot of change and restlessness around you in your home life. And it could also bring a lot of people through your door too. That's another way. Uranus in your 4th. I mean, you might have just like a revolving door and very eccentric group of people that visit you all the time too. I'm also feeling with Uranus in the 4th, be careful of electrical stuff. Yeah, Uranus can be like lightning. So I'm not predicting anyone's getting hit by lightning. I'm just saying it's got an electrical current to it. So pay attention to, the electrical currents in the house, the EMF in the house, the literally the wires, the cell phone towers near you, anything that could be affecting your home. Just take a look on that level, since it's in Aquarius. Gosh, my nose is still crazy itchy. Sorry. All right. Now, how would I interpret the 6 of discs for you as your challenge? Well, this card is it's all about healing. There's a rose that's over a cross. There's circles of light. There's planetary circles. There's other circles protecting those. There's more circles radiating outwards. This is a card that sort of shows that the person is centered in their heart. They feel protected, and they have their people in place, their close friends and allies. And then they have other circles and other outer circles, and they still find their ways to make inroads and outroads in their lives. So this sort of suggests what would be, to me, more of an Aquarius ideal, maybe, is that you have everything sort of all very ordered and armored, and you choose, and you're in control of who's. But that's more what you're working towards. That's more of the inner revolution, is getting to that more heart-centered place about how your social life, or your your boundaries, your emotional boundaries, your friends, your family, you know, you'll be rethinking a lot about that when things hit the fourth house. Fourth house, so many things can change. I mean, family can come and go, they can be estranged and they can come back. You know, close, anybody that's close that you consider part of your foundation can be under strain or break apart. And then, like I said, they can come back, but there's a lot of work when it comes to matters of the family and matters of the heart in the fourth house. And what you're striving for, like I said, is to feel that you're coming more from the heart. So the people that are your inner circle, you feel completely good with. Whereas the Uranus influence is going to, like I said, bring in all kinds of unpredictable bibbity bobbity boo people, you know, things, circumstances that change. Your house changes, the circumstances of your family change, the circumstances of someone else you're close to change, the people that coming through your door in and out, da. So you actually might feel more bombarded by Uranus, just changing everything all the time. And what you're here to do is, like, you know, not with armor, but like with just being conscious. And you're going to be gradually putting your own stamp on how you want your life to be ordered, even in the face of the crazy that's around. Very interesting times. All right, Pisces, here we go. Very nice. The lovers. So Pisces, your Mars and Uranus is shaking up the third house, which is communications, short journeys, and siblings. And communications runs deeper than just how you talk to people. It's a profound time where Uranus going through there means you're going to suddenly be in contact with all kinds of people that you never would have. There'll be people that, like, Uranus brings things in and they leave just as quickly. Sometimes a new idea, a new book, a new person comes into your life and you think, oh, great, I love this. And then it's gone. And it all happens very quickly, unpredictably. That's Uranus, just zigzag, zoom, zoom, gone. And so when it comes to communications, well, there's going to be a lot of it. There's going to be a lot of working on how to talk to people, how to express yourself in better ways or different ways, how to be more adaptable to more different types of people. Uranus in my communication house, I would also expect a lot of awakenings on my psychic level, on my esoteric side, on my intuition. There could be giant intuitive hits, like crazy. I would expect, like, Uranus, when it comes to communication in the third house, could be, for some of you, mediumship could open up. For some of you, you might get like a deja vu that lasts an hour, where you know what's going to happen. Like, it's cracking open the mind, and the communication is not just what comes out of my mouth and yours, it's also what I'm receiving. So this is quite interesting, Pisces. And then the lovers is the challenge. So, this would also, sort of like Leo's, what I was saying, there's a side that wants love and wants to have a healthy, happy, mutual union, because this whole lovers card is about dualities and how these two dualities merge and mix, and how artfully do they do it, and it's interesting because maybe you will meet, or you're looking for love, or you will meet somebody, and chances are with Uranus there, it's going to be somebody you never thought of, and they're going to open and crack your mind open, and you will crack their heart and mind open too. And there'll be a lot of things to communicate and talk about in this couple, more than you probably ever have before. In order to make that love relationship work, you're going to be talking and expressing and clarifying more than you probably ever have. And I think that's sort of nice, actually, because Pisces, like other water signs, we can very it's very easy for us to just feel something and feel like, oh, what's the point of saying it? People don't understand. What's the point of saying it? I can't articulate it clearly enough. People won't get it. So water signs tend to feel that way a lot, misunderstood, and then they internalize, and then they don't say it, and then it manifests as other stuff, anxiety or depression or cynicism. Or so it's a good thing if Uranus is like opening your throat, opening what you're receiving, and you will find sometimes it's just almost too much to keep up with. But the level of new ideas that could come for a creative person with Uranus in the third, I think that's pretty exciting, actually. What a ride. Can you see, I don't know if any of you listen to all the predictions versus just your own, but from my perspective, I'm blown away by how roller coaster this energy is right now. It's so high and so deep and so difficult for some people, and it's bouncing all over the place. So in closing, I just want to say that think about your home life. Think about how to improve your home life right now in any way you can, and try your best to stay away from the reactive and the volatile energy of this Mars Uranus up until the inauguration has passed. Expect that people are going to be more heightened and agitated, and really try your best not to say or do anything terribly reactive unless you are trying on purpose to provoke the shitstorm that will come, which you might be. That's fine. I'm just saying be conscious of it. All right. Gosh, it's 4:30 and it's clouding over and getting dark. So I wish everybody as positive as possible a transit with this new moon, and plant those new seeds for what you want and how you want to change the core of how you live and how you relate to others. All right, if you need my help, I'm always here, river-rain.com, or message me in the comments. Bye.
The soldiers are gone. I do have a lot of time on my hands, and maybe it can be useful.